Ebusian for near Doff, your Munina cover beam. For once in a subscribe, next shame on your city, and keep you updated on Sunya Binti. Yes, already to find the near chamber Parliament House in Sabrino. Yeah, Felix Ofosu Kwakye, and some more dear to Jano. Dear just or dear NPP MPs, or multi just a multi defending ye. Speakers also for one so. And I just one man of Kenya, and I just say, near ma, these people are on the floor of parliament, dear misleading a Ghanaians. It's answer more cow, beer, and bantantino. Now move through her massacre, organize a press conference, or movie on massacre TV in radio, so as I the same thing, all in their mind say, at the end of GMO, you know, or mobile, or the best sabotage, you know, or make trap picture be actually Ghana for say. Even though GM air cut air down the ministers the number of air staffers in Crawford number Jumadi. Now so secure the moment as we see on more high nipa be go or my bang arches or more musica ye demands uncle for news. For government and a man for credit can say the biggest government ever. I gan ye be wahano. Nene my ye nema tro can we no biaba. Or cut it down cost. A saya moyase or cut it down cost. What in the Asikana Amagana from Amagana from Atom. Does it make sense? And no more to try and try and Felix Ofosu Kwakye a big Pimo Parliament. No, it must set the record street. Eddie Ashati Afenyo Mark and Kojo Oppong Ȧ.Adam any sound for winning a the minority chief whip or tries to be defended and so on. For speaker with son say, or say Felix Ofosu Kwakye a trantra. Oh, number a correct in a way. We don't know any penny. Parliament, why she, but young couldn't quit Felix and semi or can't just a keep a NPP for mute.
Felix Ofosu Kwakye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the finance minister provided compelling evidence of the mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy. He put out indices that show that we inherited an economy in total disarray. So saying so does not elicit any controversy. Mr. Speaker, because our colleagues on the other side know that the finance minister has provided evidence of mismanagement of the economy in the 8 years that they were in power, they have begun to wage a campaign of disinformation with a view to demonizing this budget. Mr. Speaker, many speakers on their side have made claims that are untrue about allocations in this budget made to the Office of the President and Office of Government Machinery. Mr. Speaker, I happen to speak for that office, and therefore I am in a position to correct all the distortions and misinformation that they put out. Mr. Speaker, 3 claims have been made. They have said that 2.7 billion Ghana cedis has been allocated to the Office of the President, and that this is far more than what was allocated to the same office in 2024. Because of that, there is some wrongdoing. They have also claimed that 78 million Ghana cedis has been allocated to my office. And finally, they have also claimed that 50 million Ghana cedis has been allocated to the Office of the President for research. Mr. Speaker, none of these claims are true, and I will provide evidence. When we speak about the Office of the President, it is made up of 6 units. It is made up of the General Administration, the Office of the Chief of Staff, the Vice President Secretariat, Cabinet Secretariat, Press Secretariat, Policy Coordination and Delivery Unit. In addition to this, Mr. Speaker, there are 24 different agencies that add up to these 6 to make up 30 different agencies, which constitute what we call the Office of Government Machinery. They have claimed that under them there were only 8 agencies. Mr. Speaker, that is not true. There were 23. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the budget on page 151, an amount of 2.711 billion Ghana cedis has been allocated for compensation. Mr. Speaker, compensation simply means wages and salaries paid to government workers. Mr. Speaker, when they were in power, the 23 agencies under the Office of Government Machinery had a total of 1,200 workers. 336 of these were political appointees. Mr. Speaker, since January 2025, President Mahama, through an executive instrument, has collapsed 7 ministries. 2 of these collapsed ministries have had a total of 7 agencies moved to the Office of Government Machinery. Mr. Speaker, these agencies alone have contributed 11,657 civil servants who are going to be paid through the Controller and Accountant General. So it is not true that President Mahama has been given 2.7 billion Ghana cedis to squander. Mr. Speaker, on the contrary, the budget of the Office of the President or Office of Government Machinery, when you look at goods and services and capital expenditure, has been cut by 419 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, in 2024, the Office of Government Machinery, which had 1,200 employees, was allocated 1.536 billion Ghana cedis for goods and services and capital expenditure. Now, the same entity has 11,657 civil servants and has been allocated only 1.17 billion Ghana cedis for goods and services and capital expenditure, which is a cut of 419 million Ghana cedis. So it is not true that more has been given to the Office of the President. Mr. Speaker, it is also false for anybody to say, and this is a house of record, so I wish to place it on record, that my office has not been given 78 million Ghana cedis. There are 3 agencies that I superintend, namely the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, the Information Service Department, and the Ghana News Agency. These 3 agencies alone have 2,537 civil servants. And it is these civil servants who have been allocated 78 million Ghana cedis in both goods and services. Mr. Speaker, it is woefully inadequate for them because the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation alone needs 36 million Ghana cedis to establish a presence in the 6 regions that they created. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation alone needs 37 million Ghana cedis to establish a presence in the 6 regions that they created. And yet, all 3 agencies are sharing 78 million Ghana cedis. So it is a complete untruth for anybody to say that I have been allocated 78 million Ghana cedis. It is also untrue that when they were in power, the Ministry of Information was given 10 million. The Ministry of Information in 2024, if you look at the Appendix A of the 2024 budget, was given 262 million Ghana cedis. Not 10 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, as I speak to you, when you come to government information management machinery, when they were in power, there was a whole ministry that had a minister, a deputy, and 76 directors and employees to manage government information. Mr. Speaker, in addition to this, when you came to the presidency under the Akufo-Addo government, they had a total of 28 people managing the presidency's communications. As I speak to you, there are only 7 of us managing the presidency's communications and the entire government communications. Mr. Speaker, when they were in power, they had, at the presidency alone, they had 4 directors of communications. They had 5 deputy directors of communications. They had 2 communication specialists. They had 3 communication officers. They had 5 technical communications assistants. They had a media aide. They had a multimedia manager. They had an assistant media liaison officer. They had a communications consultant. They had a presidential advisor on media who herself had a technical advisor to the presidential advisor. Mr. Speaker, in addition to this, they had a spokesperson on infrastructure. They had a spokesperson on governance and security. They had a spokesperson on the economy. So 28 people
Kwakye Ofosu,
communications.
let me recognize.
Now,
are you rising?
Yeah.
Are you rising under order 122?
Mr. Speaker, shall we put in context that what we are doing here now is debating principles. We are not debating estimates. For the sake of the first timers, we are not debating estimates. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Afenyo.
it's only a caution.
Honorable.
And may we set a precedent.
Honorable
that will
Afenyo.
conflict us.
Honorable
Mr. Speaker,
Afenyo,
my
are
point
you?
has been well made. Thank you.
I think you are out of order. Yes, Honorable Habib.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the minister responsible for government communication is misleading the House. Parliament is a house of record. The number of presidential staffers he referred to was tabled before Parliament on the previous administration. The one he's referring to at the moment, on what basis is he? Is there any document before Parliament that he has to refer to into the number of
Honorable Habib.
There is none.
Honorable Habib.
They have more.
Honorable Habib.
And if he doesn't
Honorable Leader, he mentioned a figure. What is the correct figure?
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Parliament have not received any formal communication from the presidency on the number of presidential staffers. In fact, we are still appointing more presidential staffers. So you cannot conclude to tell us that the number you are giving is the conclusion until there is a formal communication from the presidency informing Parliament on the number of presidential staffers.
What is the correct figure?
So what you are saying, you are misleading us.
What is the correct number? If it's misleading the House, what is the correct number?
Mr. Speaker, I'm referring to something very important, even though you are asking me this question. And I'm saying that at any given time, the presidency provide to Parliament the number of staffers. This government have not. And for that matter, there's no official record on that. And you cannot sit here and mislead us unless he has a copy to show that this is the number of presidential staffers. Or else he must withdraw. He must withdraw that.
Honorable Leader, I think the principle is that we start from the known to prove the unknown. So once you do not have the figure, I don't see the basis of your point of order. Honorable Felix Ofosu, continue.
Mr. Speaker, the law requires the presidency to submit a list of people working at the office of the president. It is made up of only 6 units, and that will come in due course. I have given you the reason why the compensation budget is what it is in the budget. It is you who went out there to misinform people in order to seek false equivalence. On this floor, you have put out figures that are false. I have put out accurate figures so that it goes on the record. Mr. Speaker, I was making the point that President Mama is making savings. And one of the ways that he thinks he can do it is by cutting down the numbers. The entire government communication machinery, as we speak, led by myself, is made up of 7 people. In their time, they had 106 people. 78 of them at the information ministry and 28 of them at the presidency. Mr. Speaker, it is trite knowledge that if in the past you had 106 people and today you have 7 people, you will make savings. Mr. Speaker, let me also place on record that President Mama has not appointed 100 staffers. President Mama has appointed 27 staffers and 3 directors. When they were in power, there were 336 political appointees at the office of the president. Therefore, as we speak, it is a reduction of 306. President Mama has said that at some point we will recruit supporting staff, but it will come nowhere near the legion of people that they appointed. So when anybody gets up on this floor and attempts to score political points by saying that we have given 51 million Ghana cedis for the National Women's Development Bank and giving 78 million cedis to my office, it is a palpable falsehood. Mr. Speaker, I invite you to my office anytime you are at the Flagstaff House, and you will see that I do not need 70 million Ghana cedis for any capital expenditure. I don't need 8 million for goods and services. Those monies, the monies are for the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, the Ghana News Agency, and the Information Service Department, made up of 2,537 civil servants. Mr. Speaker, I must also stress that this is a government that cares about the people of Ghana. For that reason, a total of 44 billion Ghana cedis has been allocated to various programs contained in the 120-day social contract that President Mama signed with the people of Ghana. 13.85 billion Ghana cedis has been allocated for Big Push. 499.8 million has been allocated for the no academic fee policy. 292.4 million is going to the distribution of free sanitary towels. 242.5 million is going to the victims of the Akroma Dam disaster. 200 million Ghana cedis will go to victims of the recent tidal wave disaster in the Volta region. 3.5 billion Ghana cedis, which is the single largest allocation, is being given to the free SHS program. 564.6 million Ghana cedis has been allocated to the provision of free
Kwakye Ofosu. Hold it.
So, Mr. Speaker,
Honorable,
let it be known that,
Honorable, okay. I recognize Honorable Habib.
Mr. Speaker, with respect to you, Mr. Speaker, when the former Minister for Defense was speaking, the front bench, when they had issues under Order 122, you give them the audience and guide them under Order 125. Mr. Speaker, the minister responsible for government communication, he said that if anybody is on this floor saying or have said that 51 million has been allocated to, no, not to him, for Women's Bank, and then 78 million has been allocated to him, then that is wrong. Mr. Speaker, it is in the budget that the minister presented it here and said 51 million for the Women's Bank and 78 million to your ministry. So don't mislead us. So when you say that nobody should say that, it is wrong. So you cannot mislead us. You cannot mislead us by saying that the minister, no. Mr. Speaker, it is on record that the minister who is here, responsible for finance, said that 51 million have been allocated for the Women's Bank and 78 million have been allocated to your ministry. It's in the budget. It's in the budget. But you see, when the finance minister is justifying that the institution, parliament you belong to, Mr. Finance Minister, you have allocated only 80 million. There's no goods and services for parliament. And yet you have given 78 million to him.
Honorable Habib, what then is the point of order? Understanding Order 122.
Mr. Speaker, my point of order is that the minister shouldn't say that nobody should say 51 million was allocated for women's development, Women's Bank, and 78 allocated to him. And he was trying to justify it by saying GBC and rest. The most important thing is that it's allocated to your ministry. So it is a statement of fact.
Honorable Habib. Honorable Habib. What he said, is it a factual statement?
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Felix,
members of the minority yesterday, precisely Honorable Kojo Oppong Akroma and Honorable Gideon Buako have gone on several platforms to attempt to create hate for my person by deliberately misleading the Ghanaian public and misinforming them that 78 million Ghana cedis has been allocated to me. In fact, in some instances, they add my deputy Shamima. Mr. Speaker, I have to put it on record in this house that that information is false. It is true. It is true that 51 million Ghana cedis has gone to the Women's Development Bank as seed money. But 78 million Ghana cedis has not been allocated to me. It has been allocated to 3 agencies who I should pretend as Minister for Government Communications. That is what it is. I should admit that they deliberately sought to mislead the Ghanaian public and they have been exposed. Mr. Speaker, it is mere propaganda which I have exposed.
Conclude.
Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I want the people of Ghana to appreciate that President Mahama has done more to save money for this country than his predecessor.
Abusia for a niema ekoso parliament house na say you are dropping in amount I just say very interesting, very interesting. Felix Ofosu Kwakye wa bin ye na all this information come here so no won't mean carry all this information in won't mean because these people no propaganda no machines obehwe de Kojo Oppong Akroma no eno na mi na damoka de amina damoka no eno na eye niti osuso ye de eka Baumia 8 no so tan eto Gideon Boako ti omache the same propaganda and almost sonny bisusuma omomo ase no. So with this information na ekuta eye Felix Ofosu Kwakye no ono nko ntimi defend because they no more debate e twitwa ntrogu no so parliament house no ni hompo nti why beke biama no nti advice amount for the man say e be ya information ekuta no on jam mag omwa ombitima chechirimu ya chire Ghana for unjim because no going to me and we are beking when the better so I can be account no correct figures correct information in kutano now so what can you when the better so chechirimu yi ama Ghana for who say the Oppong Akroma mo kano enya no kre one ne bit me we cross I can bro from po can bro for one more Ghana net bro for to one money bit my church me ama Ghana for Ťeaṛs bro could drop on Akroma not Ťeaṛs or country buhuna ko city or can bro for buhuna ko Adam or country to these people no or my imagine say more person must spread the whole Ghana and no my agenda no meanwhile GM yeah dear yes officer na momukuta 106 people workers every month bia no ni etiomo kano GM baya wa pamo mu nyina use 7 pe 7 nti wonya de officer momo bia mo han ni pa 300 and something no wa pamo mu nyina no yi mu 24. So these are the things are all here now so no NP phone him says utimi ye no society a yade obemo matino position wache ye pa. So the best thing is say on me piaba wanting abi transfer actually Ghana for. So how come say itimi this $78 million echo one office? How one office? Na mo transfer see na Ghana for ni bisu AJD. No matter says itimi $78 million echo one office. Now will be using $51 million at the Women's Bank. Yeah, the whole Ghana, sorry, in Ghana cities, 51 million Ghana cities, as compared to 78 million Ghana cities. Intino, on my painting picture, we say, GME wicked. Or John Juan and Crawford home. Nipa ba kope utimi fa 78 million Ghana cities the mano and the whole Ghana okote bank da ma was me mom 51 million Ghana cities no can say ya no we meanwhile intro and no my tro na ne e Felix it ma be PM e parliament o chance ya hwe hit na mo nyina ebogene so o mo nyina ebogene so se wet ma ya de it ma kano kresa o kasa so mo man kwan wezi me pesa me banta o se o twantro fine speaker say okay o twantro wo correct figure dey na was mini bi na woni bi ede na hu so twantro nti ebere wenye bi this one wa de brem na mehwe no say ampa like these people no won share down drum ho drum ho a won tiase because say a man for tag no conscience ankasa no mu de na wu omuni bi because muntimi emma man nye tatantan say Emma moi kasa mo kra mo nkase yi levini some taxes emission taxes ni betting taxes no krampo no ye kura ni yempe enso na you were the same people na moji taxes na eba mo ho ayense hu de mo di ye bia di enime bi ho mo ankasa ma ban ni mo kra no mo ya mo ankasa mo mpene so na this new government aba no wo ye de na mo na mo sese da makomas oh yeah and so mo mpe that means mo boa na mo ntwam ade am so mo bambo twam na obi aba na watwam eye oya oboa na mo ntwam. So these are the things I cause I just Felix it might afire or be NPP and side or there come now not to defend ye omunishi and then throw na mo pia mo go twano ene we yini nyina gu a chese amoma ni magu asie pa enyasem I was saying nyina ebo ensema Felix na eye information ekuta no so no on spread na enko akiri no amanfo so dey enya bi se na bi wo mbitima boa na management ya de IM ramana subscribe na share ma onyo so dey enya bi nti no so keep updates 100% musi Akroma.